Hey everybody, GravyTrain here with another episode of GravyTraining. So this episode, we're going to talk about Incarnate. Incarnate is a late game system. You don't get into it until you hit level 50, and even then, it's a gradual process. So let me first show you. There's two kinds of Incarnate salvage that you're going to use as materials to create other types of Incarnate components, and those are going to be used to create and improve powers. So you have Incarnate shards, which are kind of like meh. Generally, I just convert these into Incarnate threads. You can convert 10 of them at every 20 hours, and it converts 10 into 10. You can also convert 10 shards into 5 threads, but you're also paying 1,000,000 influence, and it's just not worth it. Unless you really need that 5 more. You can do that as much as you want, but generally you don't want to. So that is the currencies. I'm not sure why they even have Incarnate shards. You can craft the tier 1 ability of some of the things using Incarnate shards and then do threads for the other one. But again, it's just not really worth it. And most people that I've talked to kind of do the same thing. So you'll find that under your salvage and the Incarnate tab. Now, to get to your Incarnate powers, you're going to want to open up your powers and choose Incarnate abilities. Now, for example, if I were to switch characters to a level 50 that doesn't have all the stuff, which so far I have 2 characters that have any of the stuff. But there's 6 types of Incarnate powers. Each one is sort of unique. Alpha is the first version that you get. And by getting Alpha up to, let me not get ahead of myself here. So Alpha is going to be a general buff type. So if you go under Create and look at Alpha, there's one that gives you agility. So I'm going to actually hit this and then scroll down. This top one is crafted with Incarnate shards. The bottom one is crafted using Incarnate threads. So just skip the top one, look at these. So you can see for this one, for all powers, increases endurance modification by 33%. 1/6 of these bonuses, so about 17%, ignore the effects of diminishing returns from enhancements. But this affects all powers. So, for example, I went the path of spiritual. So the spiritual boost, all powers, increases recharge rate by 33%. 1/6 of those bonuses ignore diminishing returns. Then there's 2 trees that you can upgrade them. So the upgrade requires the initial version, and then it consumes that, and then you have this version. When you go to the next higher level, it's going to require the lower level, and then more shards and things like that to increase it. And eventually I will be getting all the way up to this top one. And as they go up the tree, so you can see here, power and recharge and healing, 1/3 of the bonuses ignore the effect of diminishing returns. So twice as much gets past diminishing returns. Up here, you're going to see 1/2 of the bonuses ignore diminishing returns. And what diminishing returns means, say you had 3 inspiration or 3 enhancements, each one gave you 33.3 for a total of basically 100. Diminishing returns might cap you out at 90% instead of 100%, because after 85 or 90 or something like that, the amount that you get goes down. And it's probably a more complicated than that. I'm saying it's simple. Don't flame me if I'm not exactly right, but effectively, that's how diminishing returns work. After a certain point, the more you put into it, you don't get as much back out of it. So this diminishing returns would apply. So basically this 33% that would normally be applied to my power, say half of that just ignores diminishing returns at this level. So 16% is just stacked right on top without diminishing returns. And when you get to the top level, 2/3 of the bonuses, so 66.6%, ignores the effect of diminishing returns. Now, mind you, at each level, so this improves recharge rate and healing by 33%. On this side, recharge rate and stun duration. Here, I'm getting recharge rate, healing, slow movement effects, which I use spines. Spines does slow movement and stun duration. Or this one is the one that I currently have slotted right now. Increases recharge rate and healing, stun duration, and to hit buff effects. Or I might have this one slotted. Either way, one of these. To craft the top one, you actually have to have one from this side and one from this side, which means you have to craft the bottom one twice, because you got to use the bottom one to craft the second one. The second one is used to craft the third one. I did 2 of these because I thought you could go up the same path. I was wrong. That was a mistake. It tells you exactly which ones you need. So I have partial radial revamp. Wait, am I actually in better shape than I thought? I might be in better shape than I thought. Partial radial, spiritual radial. Okay, pay attention to which ones it tells you. This may have been recently changed. I don't know. I actually have all of those, though, and it's not one of these, so maybe I do have enough. Which means that going up this tree side was a waste. But I'm getting off track. I digress. Now, okay, so it is because of there's different versions that you can craft here. I don't know. I'm at a loss. This is kind of crazy. This is all the recipes, maybe. That gets confusing. Because here there's only 2. Anyhow, going off on a tangent. So you need to craft the previous ones, and then you need to craft these things here. So you can see here, like, enchanted sand was one of the required. So I had to craft this. And then I'll use that to craft the total thing. If I were to do, like, another good one is like musculature. Increases damage by 33%. All the way up, it's going to do increases damage, immobilization duration, defense debuff, endurance modification, and run speed effects by 33%. Like, these are big, big boosts. And you can see the buff here. My alpha buff is spiritual total radial revamp, which is this one here, spiritual total radial revamp. So yeah, that is alpha. When you get alpha up to tier 3, which mine is, then I am treated as if I am level 50 plus 1. So instead of being level 50, things that are level 51 are even con to me. Minions at level 51 are the same level as me. They're white. Lieutenants are yellow. Bosses are orange. At level 52 ones, I'm 1 level behind. So by getting alpha, you get what is called an Incarnate shift, which is a +1 tier level when doing endgame content. It's not when you're running around, whatever, you're still level 50, but Architect Entertainment missions are endgame content. So they count as long as you're fighting level 50 and above mobs. Lore and Destiny, also at tier 3, give you a Incarnate shift. The other ones do not, but these 3 do. So bear that in mind. Now, so this one is just an overall buff. Judgment is going to give you a damaging attack. Interface is going to give you a chance to proc. So, for example, adds a minus max HP debuff proc, 25% chance to most damaging attacks. That means that everything that I damage has a 25% chance to lose or lose max HP. Just amazing, considering I'm hitting 10 things at once almost always. This one, this damaging attack, for example, is massive damage. It does up to 460 damage to 16 max targets, and the radius is 30 feet, so that's 60-foot diameter. That's big. This does lots and lots of damage. And apparently there's also a 20% chance for even more smashing damage on the target. So that's why I chose this one in particular. So this is big damage. This one, this lore, is a summon. So if I come in here and look at lore, there's all these families of mobs. Like I am doing Carnival right now. I've heard Banished Pantheon is probably the best. I don't know exactly why, other than I think one of the mobs is unkillable. But basically, I just summon 2 heroes. I will do it right now, or 2 pets. Oh, there's Friar Maku. Hello. Recording a video. Be free soon. Oops. Didn't mean to do that locally. We'll put that into supergroup chat. So yeah, that is what lore gives you, is the ability to summon one or more mobs. At the highest level, you'll actually do a Defiler, a Ravager, and the Defiler is untouchable but has no offensive power. So the Defiler is just like a buffer, like a support hero. That's probably why everybody thinks this one's the best. I went Carnival before I knew that, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. The Seneschal is untouchable, but has no offensive powers. They do buffing and things like that. And then the other hero. So that's lore. Destiny, this is a shield buff. So under Destiny, there's a bunch of different powers here. So this is like a buff to your endurance and recharge rate and all that. Barrier, I figured, was important, and it's been hugely valuable to me. Like if I accidentally pull too much, or if I'm running with somebody and we pull too much, this is great because this not only buffs me, it buffs everybody in the radius, so my entire party, and my pets and everything else. This buff, at the very first level, it lasts 60 seconds. At higher levels, it lasts 90 seconds. So this buffs my defense, my resistance, and or defense and resistance. The recharge time is very long. It's like 2 minutes. The continuing buff from this power will gradually lose effectiveness over time before they expire. It starts out soft capping you for every defense and every resistance. You're going to get 90% resistance to every single damage type, and you're going to get 90% defense to every damage type. So, and that lasts for like 10 seconds, and then it goes down to like, for another 30 seconds, you get maybe 65%, and then for another 30 seconds. So basically it goes down over time. But that initial boost can really save your butt while you've got, especially you get like 5-10 bosses, you get another like 10 or 15 lieutenants, and you get like 20 minions. Well, the minions aren't doing a lot of damage by themselves, but you're getting flooded with so much damage, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. This will save you completely. Gives you time to kill the stuff. Or I pop it after popping Phoenix Rising. So I can get then time to get all my toggles turned back on before I get killed. That sort of thing. So that's the one. I love that one, but explore all the other ones for you. And then finally, hybrid is the last one. So this one is this power here is the one that I have. This power grants a stacking regeneration buff for each enemy within an 8-foot radius. The effect reaches its maximum strength at 4 enemies. It also grants some regeneration with no enemies in range. It also grants a passive boost to regeneration at all times. So my regeneration, even without this running, is increased. When it is running and it's a toggle, it lasts for like 3 minutes or something like that, and then the toggle goes off. It has nothing to do with your endurance. It just runs its course. But I'm getting a constant amount. So if I look at this one here, I'm getting an additional 7.94 hit points a second just from this. And then this one, so that's the base rate. So if I look at this then and look at the actual detailed info, so the recharge time is 2 minutes, but that is after it goes off. And this actually affects everybody in my party too, or up to 5 targets. So I can pop this if somebody else is in the group, that sort of thing. And that's it. So, and okay, to slot these, so once you create these, you're going to need to run into, I always run into Creation Studio here, because this turns all your powers off. Effectively, as long as all your powers are turned off, you can run in here. This is just real glitchy. Once all of your powers are off, then you can slot or unslot these. So let's clear the power from the slot. And now I want to slot the power. You're only going to be able to do it if you're not in combat, if you're not like engaged in anything. You can't be on a team, or you can be on a team, but you can't be in a mission, anything like that. You can't even have like only affecting self powers. That's why I come in here, because it just automatically turns off all the powers. And that is Incarnate. And then finally, this interface, I already talked about that, is the different damage procs and all that. So that is that. I do not know everything about Incarnate stuff. I don't know. I know that you're only going to get these drops, and they drop fairly slowly in Architect missions, as long as you're fighting bosses and lieutenants over level 50 or 50 or higher. If you crank the difficulty down or don't, or whatever, you're not going to get as many. You can also go to Dark Astoria. There are repeatable missions that you can run, but after the first one, the rewards kind of suck. So I just run through the Architect missions. I get probably 100 an hour, something like that, or 60 to 100 an hour. And yeah, you level them. Okay. Yeah, I completely forgot. So I talked about the create side. The convert side is where everything really comes in. So here you can see the recipes for Incarnate Shards and Incarnate Threads. Incarnate Shards, the only one you want to mess with, probably, up to you, is this one here, the upgrade. You can also break things down, but I would rather break them down into Incarnate Threads. So this one you can run every 20 hours. This converts 10 Incarnate Shards into 10 Incarnate Threads. Here, you only get 5 Incarnate Threads, but it doesn't cost any influence. So for Incarnate Shards, that's all I would recommend. From here, you need to look back at the create. So it says, okay, I need nanotech growth, arcane cantrip, and genomic analysis. So I know that arcane cantrip is here. I would hit create. It would take 20 of my Incarnate Shards. Generally, the lowest tier is 20. The commons are 20. Uncommons are 60. Rare is 100. And they require more and more stuff from in here. So this gets expensive quickly. But you would create however many of these you need, and then come over here. As long as they're all highlighted, you can create that power, and you're good to go. So for me to upgrade to the top level, I need to get all the way up to one of these other ones, and then make sure that I have the right one. Okay, so here, yeah, so barrier, total, radial. I just want to make sure I still have the right couple of them and that I get the materials to level it up. But I've got this at level 3. I've got all 3 of my Lore, Destiny, and Alpha are all at level 3. So I'm at Incarnate level plus 3. But it only actually gives me 1 level in Architect missions. But so that's common and then uncommon. So these require a common piece of salvage and then more. So effectively these cost 80 because they're 60 plus a piece of common salvage that would cost 20. The rare is even worse. So all 4 of these are uncommons and they require 1 of each of those. So this is 320 total because each one of these is 80. So like cytolytic infusion is here, requires 60 and okay, so these are only 60, not 80. These require 60 and then the Incarnate threads. These require the uncommons and then Incarnate threads. So this is actually 240, 340 total that this costs. So you would have to have a cytolytic infusion. You would have to have a dimensional pocket, which is here. So that's another 60. Gluon compound is here. And then what does it require here is the last one. Worn Spellbook is this one here. So that's 4 of the uncommon to make the rare. To make the very rare, it's going to be 4 of the rare, which requires all the other stuff. So these get super expensive, but they are super powerful. I probably won't worry too much about getting beyond tier 3. Or I'll just wait until I've got like several thousand. I'm going to probably put together a spreadsheet if there isn't one already, just to be able to tell how much I'm going to need from all these. And if I do, I'll post it as a Google Sheet probably. But that's it. That is how you craft the components. They show up here. You can also confirm if you have like astral merits, you can convert Incarnate or astral merits into Incarnate threads. Empyrean merits you can convert to Incarnate threads. You can side grade or break down. So, for example, I've got this enchanted sand. I can turn this into 4 Incarnate threads. That's a waste. So I don't generally do that because it took 20 to create it. Why am I going to just take 4? Unless I got this drop or something like that, but just not worth it. So side grades, downgrades, I don't want to, like this will allow you to turn it into a common Incarnate component of my choice. Again, I don't want to do that. That's not efficient. So again, if you have astral merits or Empyrean merits, you can convert those into Incarnate threads. But Incarnate threads and all of that. Now, one point, you do need to unlock all of these slots. And the way you unlock these slots is by getting experience past level 50. Doing Incarnate level stuff. You have to be fighting level 50 stuff and you have to be in an Incarnate event. So that means Architect Entertainment or things like that at level 50 plus. Same things that drop the Incarnate threads. So anyhow, hopefully this was longer than I anticipated, but hopefully this was helpful. Again, I am not the ultimate expert on this. I'm learning myself. So if you got questions, maybe we'll learn together. If I can help, I will. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that other stuff, and we will see you soon. Peace.